Hello guys and welcome back. As I continue with that question 3 from the Free State paper, it then goes on to 3.2, and 3.2 reads, and it says, you're provided with information from the books for the year ended, and then the business sells microwave ovens and frying pans. Leo took certain decisions at the beginning of the financial year. Provide relevant figures or calculations for all the questions below. Then it says, Leo Appliances changed their supplier. Do you agree with this decision? Explain and provide figures. So when you're faced with such a question, it wants an answer which is either a yes or a no. But before you can decide yes or no, you need to have reasons, and this must be supported by figures. So if you come here, you then realize with the information that we're given on the microwave ovens that in the previous year, that is 2021, they had returned 35 to the supplier. But in this year, after they've changed the supplier, their returns are 0. So do you support this? So your answer has to begin with yes. Then you can give the reasons, whereby you are now saying the units returned, in other words, the number of units that have been returned in 2021, the units returned in 2021 were or was 35. The number of units returned was 35. But then after the change of the supplier in 2022, the number of uh, units returned are now 0. Okay, so that is the reason why you say it is a good decision. Okay, let's go to 3.2.2. Explain the decision with figures that Leo took regarding the selling price of the microwave ovens and explain the effect of this decision. Okay, state 2 points. So it has to be a decision and the effect. All right, so you'd find that in this particular question, once you mention the decision, then you would see the effect. But the effects will either be good or bad. It does not matter. All you need to do is to mention the effects of the decisions. All right, so let's look at the first decision that this person has done. Okay, you will see that the markup here was 50, but it has been increased to 80. So the first decision is has increased has increased the markup from 50% to 80%. So the markup has been increased from 50 to 80%. And when the markup is increased like that, what is the effect then? You see that gross profit increased. So that is the effect now. Gross profit increased from, so you're looking at your gross profit. Here's a gross profit. Your gross profit is increased from 208,000. Your gross profit is increased from 208,000 to how much? To 348,000. To 348,000. Okay, so there are other ways that you could have shown this, that the gross profit is increased, then you take the difference, which is your 148,000, or you can give them as a percentage. Okay, so this is decision number 1. Let's look at decision number 2 that was taken. Okay, decision number 2 that was taken, if you look at the selling price, this was 1,920, now is 2,610. So the next decision is that he increased the selling price. Okay, he has increased the selling price. From the selling price is increased from 1,920. Yes, from 1,920 it has been increased over to 2,610. Okay, then you can also show that it has been increased by the difference, which is 690. Now, what is the effect of this increase? Okay, so you'd see that it also has the effect of your gross profit, but you also see that the effect is that your stock turnover rate decreased. Your stock turnover rate decreased. Your stock turnover rate decreased from 7.2 to 6. Decreased from 7.2 times to 6 times. The other one is that once the price increases, I think you can see here the orders have decreased. The orders have decreased. The orders have decreased. The orders have decreased from 390 to 350. The orders have decreased from 390 up to 350. Okay, and then the last one before I close this, it says Leo significantly reduced the selling price of frying pans. So they're talking about frying pans in 2022. Explain why Leo found it necessary to do this. Okay, so they want us to explain why Leo would decrease the selling price, and then provide two separate suggestions to Leo on how to improve the profit of the frying pans. So they also want us to give advice. Why would he do that? So here you would find that this information was given for a reason. The competitor, it was given for a reason. So you would then decrease the selling price. So then because the competitor has also decreased, you can see the competitor has decreased. So point number one, it is because the competitor has decreased. The competitor has decreased his selling price as well. The competitor has decreased his selling price, and it could be that Leo has decreased his selling price in order to increase sales, in order to increase sales, which eventually leads to an increase in profits. That could be the other reason. Okay, but now two suggestions on how we can improve the profits. Two suggestions on how we can improve the profits. Okay, one of them is you can increase the price. You can increase the price. Suggestion number one is that you can increase his price, but it has to be below the price of the competitor. You can increase his price, but let it be below the competitor. That is the other one, so that he can have an advantage over the competitor. The next one is he can keep more stock so that he can meet demand. Okay, he can keep more stock. He can keep more stock so that he can meet the demand. So he can keep more stock in order to meet the demand. Okay, and then he can also bring in an increase in markup. You can also bring an increase in markup. You can bring an increase in markup as well, but it must not be a huge increase in markup. Maybe around 10 to 20%, an increase in markup. So these are some of the things that Leo can do in order for him to improve his profit. Okay, I wrote suggestion one, all suggestions in one box, so the other suggestions were supposed to come here. All right, so keep the questions coming, and when I get time I'll respond to them. All right, cheers, bye bye.